just to cut me down. Say my name just to spit it out. Does it feel better now? So tell me, where did we go wrong along the way? What happened to the purpose? 'Cause it feels worthless now. There's nothing left to say. 'Cause every time I tell myself that I'm okay, it feels like the days are getting worse. And every time I pull you back to make you stay, we lose a piece of who we are. We lose another piece of who we Light me up just to watch me burn. So many times it no longer hurts. Never learn, you know you never learn. So tell me, where did we go wrong along the way? I try to speak but no words come out. And now, what's even left to say? 'Cause every time I tell myself that I'm okay, it feels like the days are getting worse. And every time I pull you back to make you stay, we lose a piece of who we Cause every time I tell myself that I'm okay, it feels like the days are getting worse. And every time I pull you back to make you stay, we lose a piece of who we Your demon has stripped back your memories and set you up to take the fall. And in your mind, the clouds have been gathering. You may feel hopeless, but I'll never let you go. Fly through the stratosphere and then I'll rip and scream it from your soul. Oh, we'll watch it fall. Now your clouds are all gone. Come and set your light through. screaming from your soul. We watch it fall. Now you count all gone. Come on, set your light through. Just set your light through before we're only whispers in the wind. You can turn my world upside down, a rush like I've not felt before. I can trust myself. I need you to make it turn. I know. Will you follow me when the sky starts to change? Yeah, we won't be afraid. We'll never be the same again. Will you follow me? We won't leave it to chance. We can't write our romance. We'll never be the same again. I could keep the light from turning into darkness. You'd be my escape. What have we been told? Easy to unfold. Future might seem out of reach, but we're getting close. Will you follow me when the sky starts to change? Yeah, we won't be afraid. We'll never be the same again. Will you follow me? We won't leave it to chance. We can't write our romance. We'll never be the same again. Will you follow me when the sky starts to change? Yeah, we won't be afraid. We'll never be the same again. Will you follow me when the sky starts to change? Yeah, we won't be afraid.
With anime in our souls and thoughts of wrestling out of control, we are a group of weebs who love the entertainment of professional wrestling. Allow us to be the voices inside of your head as we go through the wrestling event of the evening, give our thoughts and predictions on what's to come, and provide an experience inclusive to all nerds. Grab your steel chair, yell for the table, and get put through an experience like none other. Brought to you by Anime We Studio. This is the Weebs of the Ring podcast. And tonight, you got me, the genius of the mat, drop this box. Watkins has some things going on, so you'll probably catch him during Grappling of the Week and the coverage of Friday Night SmackDown if, things line up properly. And we also have the visionary, legendary Vash joining us for our coverage tonight. I'm going to pass it off to you, Vash. How are you doing this evening?
Chat, as you saw, me and your boy Walkers was a chaos of a mess on twitch.tv/Anime Studio, the parent company of Weebs of the Ring, and we were having a good old time on the channel and doing a sidecast of Monday Night Raw, of watching our visionary Seth Rollins have the manipulation, having the points, having to know the right things to say to Sami Zayn. It was such a good show. It was a good Raw to watch. I can't wait to hear it drop because I know he put a few of his thoughts on the Discord thread of Monday Night Raw, so I know he gave a few of his thoughts that I lurk in. I went to the timeline as well. I saw how people like about this, so it was really good stuff for us to talk about, good for matches to discuss. Also, this was a good Raw to follow up after Mania. Watkins also even brought up that it's nice to get away from all the corporate stuff, the sponsors, all the ads, all these things. Just get back into storytelling and wrestling, and you can feel the vibe being different, right? Drop. I could tell the energy, the flow. We had straight up an hour of wrestling, of woman entertainment, just going on back and forth, just that going on.
Yeah, I definitely agree 100% because I thought this Raw was pretty good as well. I definitely did enjoy it, throughout. There was a couple of things here and there. Obviously, you're always going to have that little bunch within that as you're watching an episode of Raw. Sometimes it could be completely perfect. Sometimes there's little tidbits here and there. But yeah, it literally feels like we talked about the beginning of a new season, because that's pretty much what WrestleMania is. It's ending off a season and beginning a new one, because pretty much what you're seeing from last week is building all the way up until next year's WrestleMania when it comes to a lot of the stories, which is something that I noticed today that I'll bring up to you guys, that I feel like we already know one of our main events of WrestleMania 42 next year, which I'll share because it does tie into our main event segment. But I also love the women's representation in this show. There was a lot of woman involvement. There's a lot of ongoing stories, not just one story. There's 2 ongoing stories right now, which puts a smile on my face, because whenever I see the woman a part of the card, that puts a big smile on my face, because I always enjoy seeing the women go out there, wrestle, and tell a whole bunch of stories just like the men do. But I feel like
I would like to add what you said beautifully is because I noticed during the middle of the stream, this felt like a setup towards the woman evolution. I believe the POE that we heard ago, even Watkins said that they should start promoting that, because we haven't heard the promotion yet for the. But you could tell that even a whole hour of segment, like you mentioned, we have Stephanie Vaquer with Adina, we have Julia interrupting with Rhea, Roxanne match, we have Io as well, we have 6 ladies going, we have Becky Lynch, Lyra Valkyria as well, being set up for Backlash. She mentioned Bailey, so that means Bailey's not out yet, because she said that's a feud that's going to be cooking up for the next couple of months. We know for sure, since is who is the biggest, who's the highest right now with Bailey versus Becky. So all these things involving women wrestling, we're definitely gonna be having evolution coming up, because we heard the promotion months back. So I just love the whole setup that things are cooking up into what could be.
definitely I agree. There's a lot of good things in store for the ladies, and I really hope we keep that rhythm past Evolution, because the vibe that we got tonight with them, I want to see spread out throughout the year. I don't want it just to be one of those things where it's like Evolution is around the corner. We need to do this right now just to build up to that thing. No, this is what you need to do every single week. So when me and Vash and other people that are fans of the product tune in, we have something to look forward to, because within the segments itself, which we'll talk about later, you know, I enjoyed them. But since I did tease our opening segment that we normally do when it comes to our headline story, we might as well just dive into that now, which I'm happy that we started off the show when it came to finding out exactly what's going to be going on next with the new Dangerous Alliance. I'm going to label them like that because it definitely feels like there's going to be a group of people when it comes to the way that everything's being orchestrated, especially since they did say last week that what you're getting right here is going to lead up all the way up until WrestleMania 42. So I definitely feel like the three guys that we have right here, if you want to take out Heyman, I definitely feel like the two guys you got involved right here, that's not it. There's going to be a lot more, and it's definitely going to benefit a lot of those people, which I'm super excited. But we pretty much have the night start off with Seth Rollins coming out with his song, and he was coming out with Paul Heyman and Bron Breakker, which is a part of this new faction. And I noticed one of the things out there that people were saying, and I understand it, but at the same time, I feel like it doesn't really damage anything. And what I mean by that, I did notice some people are saying, well, since we're seeing this little character change with Seth Rollins, does he need to have like some new gear? Does he need to have a new theme song? I don't necessarily feel like he really needs to change his song, because regardless, he's in this position to follow through with this storyline. So the theme song isn't really the story. That's just his entrance when he comes out. What you need to pay attention to is what he says in the ring or what he does in the ring. That's pretty much what propels the story to a next level. So that little nitpick that I've saw people talk about online didn't really bother me, but we pretty much had Seth come out, and then we had Sami come out, and pretty much like the whole moral of the story right here is Seth's on a mission to pretty much build the next generation. He has his own ideology that he wants to follow, and he's trying to find other people to join this faction so it could lead them to a proper future of WWE, which he was very upfront about when it came to this build with Roman and Punk at WrestleMania, and obviously we know what happened beyond that. So he was trying to give Sami that sort of leverage by taking that golden ticket to Willy Wonka's chocolate factory and pretty much put him in a position where he's able to achieve the same things that Bron Breakker is going to achieve when it comes to going to SmackDown, getting the winner of John Cena versus Randy Orton. And it's funny that he mentioned, you know, the whole world title thing, because that's something that Sami Zayn has been chasing for so long, because you had his other peers have it. Kevin Owens had it, Cody Rhodes had it, you know, Roman Reigns had it, Jey Uso recently got it, you know, etc. so on. But that's been something that he hasn't able to do. The only thing he's really won on the main roster is when it comes to tag titles and mid-card titles. He hasn't really won the big one. So the fact that you're dangling those keys in front of his face, I mean, hey, it's hard not to blame Sami in the moment, to really consider that when you look at something that he's been wanting to strive and pretty much just have that big moment, just like everybody else within the company has had, to really just go out there and just look back and be like, yes, mom, yes, dad, you know, I finally made it, or whoever he's dedicating this big win to, or just a moment within itself. And that's just basically something that Seth's known to do. He's known to get into people's heads, to play mind games. And that was the ongoing story throughout the night when it came to, okay, what's Sami's answer going to be? Is he going to join Seth? Is he going to decline the offer? If you've known Sami Zayn for a long time, he likes busting his ass off in order to achieve the things that he wants. So looking at it from that perspective, you obviously knew that Sami was going to go down that direction, and he wasn't going to submit to Seth Rollins or Paul Heyman or Bron Breakker, which pretty much led him to where he was towards the end of the night. But before we dive into anything further when it comes to the match itself, or, you know, segments with Jay in the back, is there anything that you want to touch on as well when it comes to the opening segment of the show?
Well, watching this with Watkins, it really was an entertaining delight because we kept going back and forth of how, like you brought up, the music. People are like upset, like, oh my god, his music should change. The only person that I feel like should change with its music is probably Becky Lynch, but we could save that conversation for later.
Yeah.
When it comes to Seth, people, even Seth brought up, yeah, you know, I remember you got Roman with the ones. That's perfect. You have representation with the ones. But you know what you got with Seth? You got a symphony of his song that could be played by the fan/audience in the background without his song being even played. That's how you show that he's over. He doesn't even need a song. And even if you change it, the audience/fans will still sing it like they did ending Monday Night Raw tonight. He was singing his song by the fans. And it was beautiful. This shows, and even though this man was wearing a $13,000 fucking jacket, that also shows this man was just out there walking like no fucks given. I love how his demeanor also was there during Bron Breakker. I don't know if anybody noticed, but this man barely moved. Like, he only moved, I think, 3 times during that, I believe, 10-minute match is what I had here from cage match, I believe. Yes, 12-minute match. I only saw Seth Rollins like just move 3 or 2 times, and it was one time to go talk to Sami, like, hey man, you gotta do it, and it was the second time to tell Bron Breakker, like, yo, finish it. And that's what it was. Seth Rollins was just out there by the ring announcer table and literally just watching the whole time, standing, and it showed the demeanor of him as a leader. And I just love how when he spoke to Sami Zayn, he didn't really lie, but he gave facts. He gave facts to the audience and to Sami Zayn, saying examples like, hey, I am going to run this ship. You had Roman Reigns. You had this happen. I'm the one that's going to make this type of detour to the next year, to the next season of WrestleMania. We're going to join this ride. And I really am enjoying the perspective that Seth is having right now with grabbing the audience, even having Paul Heyman, even Sami trying to say, like, you have a wise man. You have your enforcer in a way. So I like how he is giving the references/comparison, but something that Paul Heyman did even in the back when Sami spoke to him. Paul Heyman said, you know, we are the OG bloodline. Like, we are the OG. Like, we were there from the beginning. And like, hey, you and me have a repertoire. When you left the bloodline, I'd ask questions. I asked you why. You told me what happened. I let it be. I respected it. So that was really beautiful to see. But then when it comes to Sami, he didn't agree that Paul Heyman left. And I love how Bron Breakker was ready and standing outside. He's like, yo, if Sami even twitched to Paul Heyman, Bron Breakker was ready to crash through that locker room. Even though the locker room looks OD small, but it was amazing to see.
Yeah, I agree, and that's one of the things I love about Sami Zayn. He's like the perfect definition of like a white hot baby face. Like, he pretty much represents all the qualities that you need. A lot of fans love him. A lot of people can really get captured by the kind of story that he's telling whenever he's on the microphone of a Seth Rollins or Cody Rhodes or Jey Uso, you know, etc., so on. Whoever he's involved with, he always makes you feel like you're there right with him in the moment, experiencing everything from his perspective, almost like you're looking out of his 2 eyes. And I really enjoyed everything that went on with that. And the match itself, I mean, to be quite honest, they're both great performers, but the real message of that story is like people normally say, you know, sometimes you have a wrestling match, you have a story being told there, and you also get a good match out of it. The main point of this match itself tonight was the story that was being told in the ring, which was using Bron Breakker as a way to just push Sami Zayn more and more and more to potentially accept that offer, which of course we saw towards the end he didn't. He ate 4 spears, I believe it was 4, and then he also ate a curb stomp towards the end to pretty much put the nail in the coffin when it comes to Sami Zayn. And yeah, 4, I like where they're going with this. So it's like the way that they're handling this story, they're taking their time with it, they're marinating it. It's almost like you have a steak, you're marinating it, making sure all the flavors there. I like how they're taking their time with the story. And I like how this is going to be a story that we can invest in throughout the year, where we can come out here every Monday Night Raw or, every PLE where we see like this big angle play out, so we could talk about all the possibilities of where things could lead beyond this point. And it just gets me super excited just based on everything that was said here. You even have that whole moment with Jey Uso in the back that I spoke of earlier. Didn't touch on, but I'll touch on it now, where Jey was saying, whatever decision you make, he wants whatever Sami wants it to be best for him, because obviously he cares about him. They've been through hell and back with one another, so he basically just wants Sami to do what's best for him. And that's something that was, a very wholesome moment that I really appreciated seeing between both of those guys. And now I'm going to touch on what I mentioned earlier when we started off the show, where I could actually see this play out, and I would play it out like this, because I feel like if you really want to capture a big moment, you got to do it at the big one. I feel like we might have Sami Zayn win the Royal Rumble next year, considering that it is in Saudi. Saudi crowds love him. It would be the perfect person to really choose for him to win the Rumble. And since they said this story is going to be ongoing throughout the year, it's not going to be something concluding at a SummerSlam or a Survivor Series. And they even alluded to it in the promo, and Seth Rollins made it pretty apparent when he was trying to dangle those keys in front of Sami Zayn's face about winning the big one when it comes to winning a world championship. I'd personally, if it was up to me, I would have Sami Zayn win the Royal Rumble next year. I would have Seth Rollins win the World Heavyweight Championship sometime this year. I would run that match at WrestleMania. I would have Sami Zayn finally get this moment. If you build from what we saw here tonight, you carry it throughout the rest of the year, and you don't pull it off that early, because I feel like Sami Zayn, he's that one character where it's like you just want to see him capture these big moments, because he's someone that actually works for it, and it just feels like more organic for it to be one of those moments where you could look back at and be like, you know what, that was pretty awesome. Like, that's something that's going to be implanted in my brain forever. And I personally feel like this might be our WrestleMania 42, one of our WrestleMania 42 main events when it comes to the story that we're involved with Sami Zayn and Seth Rollins. Because I don't think Seth Rollins is going to win the World Championship right away. Maybe a SummerSlam or something. I definitely feel like he's going to win the title this year, 100%. It's not going to be Bron Breakker, because that's pretty much things that's going to be a little bit later. You need to wait for that. And I feel like, based on what the story that we're seeing right here, I mean, Seth and Sami at WrestleMania 42 for the World Heavyweight Championship, I feel like if you take your time, you tell a good, compelling story, you don't have the match early, you could definitely do something like that.
So, to add towards where you're going, because I don't want to jump in yet, because this is a perfect comparison towards this. We also have Karrion Kross that we also forgot to mention. Karrion Kross was part of this in the backstage. Karrion Kross was also wearing a man bun, because people need to pay attention. Whenever Karrion Kross, he's really detailed to the hairstyle that he of whoever he talks to. Whenever he talks to AJ Styles, he has the side hair, the down. When he talks to Sami, he has his hair loose and everything. So, but then when he spoke to him, he spoke with a man bun. So I'm like, yo, Seth, you also got a man bun today. What's going on here? And when the audience did the Fireflies, I was a bit confused, because I'm like, yo, we don't have Jay coming out. There's no Yeet, and there's no Y6 going on. And I'm like, is this like a Karrion Kross reference going on? No, nothing. So I thought Karrion Kross would have appeared by the end of the night. That's my kind of speculation. The reason I bring that up, because Karrion Kross said is like, Karrion Kross has been here since earlier this year, I believe, or later at the end of last year. He spoke to Sami Zayn that you gotta choose yourself. You gotta choose yourself, Sami Zayn. You gotta be selfish. And he brought up again tonight. Paul Heyman literally gave him, like Drop said, putting the keys in front of his head, like, yo, you could go to SmackDown. Whoever wins, Randy versus John Cena. We finally saw a small type of video package of that tonight. It was pretty cool. And Paul Heyman said, yo, whoever wins between those two, you get to have them on the next PLE or the next match. Sami Zayn said, fuck that. Fuck no. I'm not doing that. That's not going to happen. What? I'm going to take my W my way, and I'm going to secure it however I want to. So when it comes to that being the case, I really love that because we've been saying that Royal Rumble winner for Sami Zayn as Saudi since earlier this year, I believe. I believe we've been saying that since when it got announced that Royal Rumble would be next year as Saudi. I believe that was announced earlier this year or late last year, December. So we've been having that there, like, yo, Sami Zayn 2026 is gonna be there. It's gonna be starting. It's gonna be the winner. Even Watkins brought up again this earlier June. I mean, this earlier stream, Watkins brought up like, yo, 2026, Sami. I saw a few tweets from a few heads also agreeing that this is the road to Sami Zayn winning his Royal Rumble next year. Jay got it. Now Sami Zayn turn, and I love this for him. And I do agree. I see this as Seth versus Sami next year for that reason, because Karrion Kross started this. He has turned each person, Roman, Ray, and others, he has turned them to become a better wrestler and a better character in front of our faces. So having Sami Zayn each time kind of being told, choose yourself, even like Drop said about Jey Uso, hey, whatever decision works for you is best for you. That is the truest best friend advice. Like, yo, I support your decision, even if I don't agree with it, is best decision for you. And I love that.
Yeah, so I can honestly, see that being the possible direction, because we have the seeds being planted right here. We could take our time, really work in there, because this is going to be an unstoppable force. So we can't really give everything away in like 2 to 3 months. Like, if you really want to work with something here and you really want to work on the next big story carrying into WrestleMania, it has to be something like this. Like, you have to have Sami getting his big moment, finally winning the big one. His best friend Kevin Owens, regardless how they feel about each other now, he's won it before. Sami hasn't even touched that title yet. He's the only world championship he's really won is the NXT title, but that's not a world title on the main roster. And I just feel like it just makes a lot of sense based on everything that we're seeing right here. And I'm very curious to see what is going to evolve from this, because there was no Jay, which made sense because Logan knocked him out in the back, so it didn't really make sense for didn't really make sense for Jay to come out, because he has to sell that attack. And obviously what happened with Punk and Reigns last week, they got to sell that attack as well to really show, yeah, these people are legit. If they attack us, we're going to be out for a little bit. So I really enjoyed this opening segment. I'm really looking forward to seeing how it's going to progress next week, because when it comes to a lot of the stories that we're getting when it comes to this new season of Monday Night Raw, this is definitely one of them that I had my eyes on, that I was looking forward to seeing tonight.
I want to add on a point, because you said opening segment. I want to add to the ending segment of this main event. I love how when the timing of Bron Breakker theme hitting as the camera was still on Seth's face, just showing Sami Zayn refused his offer in a very passionate promo, by the way. Like, the promo was very passionate from Sami, but once he told him no, the sirens being heard and being shown the red and blue, it was a perfect transition of Bron Breakker coming out. Like, the timing of the production team, the cameraman, the acting from the two wrestlers in the ring, and Bron Breakker just coming out while Paul Heyman just looking all menacing, like, yeah, that's my boy, come out. And also commercial hit, those 3 minutes of me and Watkins just watching this during the stream, like, just seeing him literally kind of or farming those 3 minutes, just going around the whole ring, watching Sami, and Sami being ready in street clothes. Because if anybody don't remember as well, the last time we saw Sami, one, fight in street clothes and also be in the ring in a fight, was the last time we saw him was in an unsanctioned match of KO versus Sami Zayn back in Elimination Chamber, if I remember correctly. Yeah, Elimination Chamber. Yep. So we saw that. So the other last time we saw him in the ring and also fighting in street clothes. So I love the consistency that it didn't really spoil us as the audience to know why he's, if he happened to have come out in his gear, then we would have known that, oh, he's gonna deny him, and then we're about to have a match with Bron Breakker. No, but he still played the part. He had a like a button down T-shirt. Just start stripping. All right, cool. It looks like I'm about to fight the guy. It is what it is. So it should make it more real and less predictable in the aspect where it's not showing to us all the cards, even if us, wrestlers could or fans could tell what could be happening. But I love it how it's not so obvious when it's just being presented to us, and that's appreciative.
Yeah, and another thing we gotta mention as well is the first life lesson that Seth Rollins gave Bron Breakker in this segment as well, where he says, you want to make it to the top, you want to be one of the main guys and everything, you got to do this right here, right now. And Bron Breakker definitely completed that mission when it came to the road that Seth Rollins is trying to guide him down, because this is only going to do wonders for Bron Breakker. Like, what we're witnessing right here is like Bron Breakker's like breakout moment. Like, sure, he's had a lot of viral things happen to him ever since he joined the main roster, but what you're witnessing right here when it comes to this faction, when it comes to Paul Heyman's guidance, this is going to be something that you're going to see from years to come, and it's all thanks to where everything is starting right here. And that's another thing that I wanted to point out.
Agreed. That's a good life lesson, or like
For him,
like a teachable moment. It was a good teachable moment to show, like, hey, hold your horses. I know you want to tackle. I know you want to do this, but there's a right time and right place for everything. The right opportunity, you will get your chance. And I love that. Like, yo, Ron, you did fucking 4 spears, 2 in the ring, and then 2 going outside. Like, you did your shit.
Exactly.
So it was a well earned. I'm more curious to see how I'm not saying how we're gonna milk this, but how we're gonna cook this when it comes to the Bron Breakker every week. How's he gonna be dealing with this? Like, compared to last week, we said the speculation. Is Drew gonna join? Are we gonna get Carmelo? Are we gonna get Trick Williams? Are we gonna get these other characters? And I'm happy that he's not adding them, a quick reference to AEW. He's not being like Tony Khan, like, I'm gonna pick him, I'm gonna pick him, I'm gonna pick him, and then they're now in one segment, in one show, or happening in one night. No, they're telling the story like it is long-term booking. Triple H has always been telling this to the audience in the press conference and everything, anytime he gets to remind the audience, long-term booking, long-term storytelling. And that's his goal, that's his mission, because he wants us to be invested, to come back for the following week, know and be curious to know what's next, what's going to be evolving in our soap opera. And I'm here for it.
Me too. So the next thing I want to touch on is our World Heavyweight Championship picture. Because now that Jey Uso and Gunther has come to a conclusion and both guys are heading down separate directions, now we got to figure out exactly
to see your thoughts about this.
What's going on with Jey Uso. Because obviously he needs a new challenger. Obviously he needs to start off his reign, because he can't just win the title and just walk around with it. He obviously is going to have some people come up to him wanting a shot at that title so they can become a world champion itself. And the person that came out, which I expected to happen, because
I knew it.
Even before this happened, it was just a thought that crossed my mind, because it just made sense regardless how people feel about it online. It just made sense for it to head down this direction. So we have Logan Paul coming out. Logan Paul comes out, calls out Jey Uso, and this is pretty much the match that we're going to be getting at Backlash for the World Heavyweight Championship. Hasn't been confirmed yet, but it's kind of obvious that's going to be one of the other matches on the card. And honestly, I mean, it is what it is when it comes to this match itself. I'm just hoping they can do something a little bit different with it when it comes to the overall build. And what I mean by that is, my initial thought when I saw Logan come out and then him and Jay were going back and forth on the microphone, I was really hoping that Logan wasn't going to reference like an old promo segment he had when he's talking about the whole origin of like the Yeet catchphrase when it came to like one of his diss songs that he did many years ago against Jake Paul, when him and his brother were like throwing back and forth disses at each other, like in the early stages of YouTube. So it's like, I was really hoping he wasn't like, oh, okay. I didn't want the whole story being like, I didn't want that being the story. It's like, hey, you realize where he came from? It was from me. Like, I'm glad we didn't get that. But at the same time, it's like,
Agreed.
just like Gunther, which we'll talk about a little bit later, actually right after this, every character has a side quest. And sometimes you run into them before you tackle like the next main mission that you're going to spend a couple days or so on. So this is essentially Jay's side quest that he's able to go on. So
look,
I mean,
Chad,
I don't know.
I'll tell you this. While I was with Watkins, the two people I was thinking about, it's not myself. I was thinking about Drop This Box and Watkins, of how they would think about this opportunity. Because once we saw, Logan coming out, we knew what he wanted. During the whole stream, during the whole segment, Watkins said, he's gonna ask for the title. He's gonna ask for the title. He's gonna ask for Jey Uso. And of course, it happened. The same thing, for the Gunther and Pat McAfee. We expected that, but it depends on the execution. Because hey, if they plan for this already, execution and how we get there is what matters. Cool, we got here. We got Logan and Jay. It is what it is. Am I excited for it? No, I'm gonna be honest. Am I excited for no? But am I looking forward to it? Yes, because the reason that there's a difference. Am I excited for it? No, but am I looking forward to it? It's because Logan Paul is a good wrestler. Is he a good entertainer? Yes, that is the bottom line. Is he a good person? I don't know the guy. I don't got much of a hatred of his past stuff. I don't got much to say. Jay, yeet. I love this man. This man got a gold chain now around him, literally saying yeet. 4 letters. 1 word. Yeet. So I love that about him. As much as that you can be mad about his catchphrase has literally become his ending of his sentence. It's not the beginning. Yeah. He even told the audience that while he was doing his promo, he like, yo, guys, give me a second. Hold up. He literally gave them the hand. They chose not to listen, is what it is. This crowd was questionable with how they was...
I agree.
Kind of rooting people tonight, but that is to be determined throughout each of our segments. But during this, I appreciate that Jay had the chance to be like, yo, guys, please give me a second. Can you guys shut up real quick? Let me cook this man. And I love how he said that, yo, I'm going to cook this man as my YouTuber. Because he did what we called him. Logan Paul is a YouTuber, a Vine content creator from back in the day and everything. But now he is a influencer and everything, prime bottles and all this. But I'm excited for Jay versus Logan. I know Jay's going to win. There's no way in hell they're going to give the belt to Logan so fast after Jay just did this high fucking from WrestleMania, the crowd. Even while Logan was there, no pop for him. But once Jay came out, music, everyone in the crowd, you saw in the corner of the screen, people from the top, they all stood up and was ready to yeet. The one thing I say about Jay, and I get, Walkers, I get it. His excuse, my reason is that, yo, Jay, you got to work on your stamina. Because every time this man comes on the mic, after yeeting, after running around and just yeeting with the audience, this man is out of breath. And Watkins makes a good point. He's just yeeting with the whole crowd. He already out of breath, all the hand moving and everything. But I'm like, yo, if that's the case, this man needs to work on his stamina. Because either way, for you to just be coming on the mic and just be almost sounding out of breath, I don't know if that's the point, the goal of how you trying to execute the promo. Either way, still nice to see. I just would have liked to prefer to have seen more when it comes to out of the breath aspect, because we have gotten that over the past couple of months. So when it comes to Logan, really curious to see. I like what he did to super kick, even though it didn't really connect. I felt like super kick was more right here in the shoulder. If anybody caught that, it wasn't really more the head. But then once Jay was turning to Sami, and Sami was talking to him, and Jay was looking too long, I knew once it turned, that hit came, and I'm like, the Superman punch came out of nowhere, and I knew it. And I knew it was obvious. It was bound to happen. But I'm here for it. I know this match is gonna be a small feud. It's literally gonna cook for Backlash, and then probably Logan is gonna be gone for next month or two, or who knows? Because he came out saying like, "Yeah, I defeated the phenomenal one. I have done everything. I've chased everything. I have not won the world title yet." I'm like, well, technically, you're still missing Money in the Bank. You're still missing Royal Rumble. You're still missing Elimination Chamber. But hey, you got it, I guess, because you want to become a Grand Slam as well, because that's also, and that's check off, so you have the IC title and everything. I'm really curious to see if they ever get to the time of Logan getting the tag titles. If that ever happens, I'm curious to see who the fuck will be his partner. But that's a whole side conversation if you want to tap in to that one job. But that's all I got.
Yeah, so I mean, I agree with you. Like, I'm not really excited for the match at all, but I'm very interested to see exactly what the match is going to be like once we get there. And I have to say that I got to give Jay some credit for like trying to interact with the crowd more when it comes to them like calming down with the yeet chants, because just like that segment that he was having with Gunther, like when he was having a heart to heart to Gunther, talking about everything that happened when Gunther mauled Jimmy in that one segment that we had towards the build up to Mania. I liked how he was, reaching out to the crowd saying, listen, just leave it be as it is right now. We can get to that later so we can talk, because it does get pretty repetitive at a while. And as much as I love hearing it every now and again, it does kind of take away from the segment, because there could be something serious going on. People are saying what, which we'll talk about a little bit later too, because that frustrated me a little bit when it came to the Becky and Lyra segment, because it's like they're trying to have a serious segment right here, and you're doing stuff like that.
Me. Oh my god, it was
like it's annoying.
At times I feel like I have to be like, yo, Lyra, can you repeat yourself? I'm sorry, I just couldn't hear you.
Yeah, it's like the same thing with that. It's like, yes, we get it. That's what he said. Like it's like Vash said, the Vegas crowd, this crowd, like I don't know what's going on, but it's like, we get you want to interact with the superstars and they're out there in the ring, but if you want to know, like, okay, this is how we got here, you got to listen to the road that they're trying to build there, so you understand, like, if there's certain things addressed once we get to the match, why that certain spot happened, if you paid attention to what's going on in the story, because you keep saying yeet, yeet, and yeet all over again, and Jay's trying to tell you, listen, I'm trying to say something to this guy so I can help you guys understand where we're going with this, and then moving on to next week, and so on. So it's like, this match itself, we'll see where it goes. Not excited for it, but I mean, if you want to give Jay something to do in the meantime, because this is pretty much a one and done feud as it is. I mean, Logan Paul's right there. Literally, he kind of has to do something. That was a pretty big win from him at WrestleMania from AJ Styles.
You're right.
So it's like he has to cash that in and go after a world title like that. Like, if you go up against somebody like that and you get a win, I mean, realistically, it makes sense if you want this to be your next direction. But talking about like another segment that was kind of similar to this when it comes to me not being excited for, but I'm very curious.
Which one are you more excited for?
If I'm being completely honest, probably the Pat McAfee and Gunther match. If I'm being honest with you guys, because
really? Oh.
Yes, because Pat McAfee, this isn't the first time he's been in the ring as a competitor. He had
the fifth one from what I saw on the timeline.
Yeah, because Pat McAfee also had a pretty good match with Adam Cole back in NXT like a couple years ago. And I'm not saying like he's this out of the world performer, but I mean, like he was in the promo tonight. I mean, I thought that was a pretty good promo he was cutting. He was being honest with the audience. He wasn't really cutting that many jokes. Like, he was literally, talking to the audience, just pretty much describing how he feels about Gunther and everything that took part in that segment itself. But yeah, if you guys saw last week, you had a whole segment play out with Gunther where he came out, he's venting out his frustration because of everything that happened at WrestleMania when he lost the World Heavyweight Championship to Jey Uso. And you had him attack Michael Cole, and then Pat McAfee came for the save, and then Pat McAfee was put in the sleeper hold, and that's pretty much where we got to this segment tonight, where Pat McAfee was venting out his frustration, standing up for Michael Cole, and everything along the lines of that to pretty much build to this match between Pat McAfee and Gunther. And the reason why I said I'm excited for this is because I know what Gunther is capable of, just like how I know what Pat McAfee is capable of. Like I'm saying, I'm not saying this is going to be like a out of the world wrestling match. It's going to be one of those things where you already saw the kind of person Gunther was last week when it came to him venting out his frustration, getting all of that heat, which he definitely needed something to lean on heading out of WrestleMania instead of just being like, okay, who else am I going to smack on the back of the head? Like, he needed some sort of heat. Attacking a fan favorite like Pat McAfee definitely did the job. And the reason why I'm excited for it is because it's just going to be one of those matches where he's just going to rip him to shreds. And that's sometimes the best source of entertainment, just seeing somebody get ripped limb to limb when it comes to a match like this. And that's essentially what this is going to be. Like, sure, Pat McAfee's going to get his hits here and there, but at the end of the day, you know, this is going to have Gunther being put in this position where he's just going to maul Pat McAfee to death. Like, I expect there to be things where it's like he's put in the sleeper hold, a whole bunch of power bombs. Like, Gunther is going to just pretty much essentially throw him around like a rag doll. That's essentially what this is. The whole beatdown is what sells the match. The whole point of Gunther just
for that.
Causing mayhem. It's almost like you have a doll. You rip out the arms, rip off the legs, you ripped off the head, you know, everything in between. That's essentially what it is. It's almost like you're putting up a small guy against this unstoppable force. It's almost like a tornado. Tornado's heading your direction. The tornado's going to scoop you up. You're not going to run away from the tornado. The tornado is Gunther. So he's pretty much going to scoop up Pat McAfee, and this is going to be a beatdown, and that's what's going to really sell the match. It's just him absolutely mauling him. So that's why I said I'm excited for this, just based on the destruction alone. From a match perspective, as for like the way I felt about the Jay and Logan thing, like I mentioned earlier, I'm not particularly excited for it, but I'm not going to complain if I'm going to see somebody get the absolute living snot beaten out of them. That's something I'm not going to complain about. I'm not going to say it's going to be a show stealer or anything along the lines of that.
It's a showstopper, the best match of the night.
But it should be entertaining at the very least. Especially, and like I said earlier, I got to give credit to that promo that Pat McAfee did, because, like I mentioned,
he was good.
Serious.
It was good.
He wasn't goofing around or anything. Like, he was literally almost like he was in his own world, like the other guys, just letting everything out, allowing the F-bombs, even though we didn't hear them, which I really want to touch on that, the whole blackout thing, because we literally talk about that every single week, so I don't really want to mention the censorship, but pretty much allowing him just to say whatever the fuck he wants. So I thought that was good on that end, to just really show the frustration from him.
As you said, we don't need to really harp on the censorship because we're going to come at them all the time every week, and it gets very exhausting. Yeah. And when you're even doing sidecasts like me and Watkins has, or me and Job has for NXT, it gets very exhausting. And it's just like, yo, you're on Netflix now, you're on public TV, you don't have to worry about the whole, like, you could say asshole, but you can't say motherfucker, and it just makes it in the whole type of dilemma. It is what it is, whatever. But when it comes to this match, I'm glad, you know, like Job said, I'm uninformed. I don't got no other word for it. I'm uninformed of the history of Pat McAfee, or what he has done with the fight that he did with Vince as well. I believe I saw a picture on my timeline with Adam Cole and everything. All those things, really dope to see. I cannot speak about his wrestling experience because the last time I saw him in a wrestling ring was when he was in the Royal Rumble, and I believe was last year. It was last year in the Royal Rumble, and that's where he got caught in on a random number. He got in, and then after he got taken out, I believe it was Bron Breakker or it was somebody else. The reason I give this context because when it comes to his in-ring ability, I have no knowledge about, so I can't add too much. I gotta go and confer to my co-host and trust him on what he said and just ask questions from it. But I do want to add more about the promo because, Job, you gave some beautiful words about Pat McAfee. He gave a really beautiful promo, and it's spoken from the chest, spoken from the passion side about the world of wrestling entertainment, and also being a commentator because, you know, the reason he said that he kind of defended Michael Cole, like he went behind him and everything. He said that he turned around and he was fighting for his life. He did what he did. And I love how Michael Cole at the end, like, hey, you chose your death wish and everything. Even me and Walker's like, damn, you crazy to be fighting with Gunther after what he did last week to you. Like he gave no fucks to you. He just went, I'm gonna put you to sleep. And we had a whole fucking like 8-minute segment of just you going from the ring into the back. But showing that he even called out Nick Aldis. Like, yo, the guy that's supposed to be replacing Nick Aldis tonight, come out here. I love how Nick Aldis said, whoa, sir, hold your horses right there, real quick. Before you try to call me out here and talk, know that I know how, Mr. Nick Aldis, Mr. Adam Pearce likes to have chaos. That's not how I roll. I'm a person of control. I like to have my control chaos. Like Mr. Shadow the Hedgehog, he likes to have chaos control. And Nick Aldis, I love how you say, look, I already knew you was gonna ask that, and I already spoke to Mr. What's his face, Adam Pearce, and we already came to conclusion that you're gonna have a match with him in Backlash. Once that was announced, it's crazy because dropped it earlier, aka about 20 minutes ago, and he said, yo, I'm more excited for Pat McAfee and Gunther. On the flip side, your boy Vash is more excited for Logan Paul and Jey Uso. Not because promo, but because in-ring ability. I've seen Logan fight, and I've seen Jey Uso fight. I have not seen Pat McAfee actually be in the ring. So that must mean that sometime soon, me and Drop has to either, he tells me some homework, like, hey, before we do the PLE next week, here's your homework of, you should check out these matches of Pat McAfee. So you should learn or know his in-ring ability just so I could be prepared for it. Either way, even though I'm not excited for this, I'm curious to see how this Gunther versus Pat McAfee match will be. Because I hope it's not a squash match. Because right now, for the audience that's unaware yet, by the end of this podcast, we're going to be having already 3 matches that got announced from tonight. We have the Becky Lynch and Lyra. We have the Gunther and Pat McAfee, and then we have the Jey Uso versus Logan. Though the 4th one is John Cena versus Randy Orton. We're gonna need a 5th match because on the small PLEs, Triple H likes to do 5 matches per small PLEs, and this is Backlash. So we're gonna probably add another match from SmackDown. It's gonna probably be a US title match or probably something with the tag titles. That's my little side tangent about that. But for the Gunther and Pat McAfee to be on Backlash, I'm glad Gunther still having a feud, even though it's with a commentator. And for those that are like, oh, shock, like, why is commentators being involved? We literally have had Jerry the King Lawler and Michael Cole being involved in many side storylines within the wrestlers over the years as commentators. They are part of the storylines and part of what's going on in the wrestling ring. They even have given purpose or has given us additional information during the matches just for us to remember as critics, as the fans, just to know what's going on. Just like they did in the match of Rhea and Io that we are going to talk about soon, how just because of Michael Cole just adding little small type of nuggets. So I appreciate Pat McAfee doing his best. Good luck in this match versus Gunther, and I'll see you guys in the next week and a half because we will be talking about that on Backlash sometime at 11 p.m. most likely on that night of that Saturday, May 10th. So stay tuned for that.
Yeah, definitely. We will be having 4 streams that week: the Monday Night Raw, the Grappling with the Week, the Friday Night SmackDown coverage, and Backlash. So definitely be sure to stay tuned.
Maybe also Battleground, because I think Battleground is also soon, and I know me and Job likes to do NXT coverage here and there, so who knows?
Yep.
So talk to us. What's the next one? Because this was a good match to start off the show, and I know you was excited for this as well.
Yeah, so this was announced by Adam Pearce yesterday when it came to like the little rundown we were getting for matches that was going to take place on Raw, based on ones that we knew at the moment. And one of those moments happened to be Rhea Ripley versus Roxanne Perez, because we ended up having Io and Stephanie having a match last week, which was pretty much friendly competition. Stephanie is still in NXT, but she knows how great Io is, and she wanted to have a match with her. And we didn't end up getting a winner in that match, which made sense because you don't really want to give away the finish that soon. You got a little preview, which was nice. But we ended up seeing Roxanne and Julia come out to pretty much end that match. And that's pretty much building off from what we saw last week. And we have Rhea Ripley versus Roxanne take place today. And this is actually their second time going up against each other, because the first time was
Michael, thank you for that little nugget as well.
Yep, because the first time was back in NXT when Rhea Ripley and Rhea Ripley when she was World Heavyweight Championship, Women's World Champion back in 2023, I recall. Yeah, 2023.
Yes.
And she went up against Roxanne, and then this is the second time seeing it happen. And the main reason why I really like this match is because it's pretty much a David versus Goliath match. You pretty much have Roxanne Perez as David, and you got Rhea Ripley as Goliath because she's very tall and she's a lot bigger than Roxanne, who the people are, and if they have good chemistry with one another. And I feel like these ladies had some good chemistry tonight. But I liked these kind of matches because it's like the moonsault that she did off the rope was really nice, which she doesn't always have the opportunity to execute that because sometimes people put up their knees, so it's always nice to see it get hit. And I thought this one is probably the best one I've seen in a while, when she was actually able to execute this move. But she was pretty much doing everything that she possibly can to weaken Rhea. And what's one of the things you normally think of if you're trying to take down someone that's smaller than you? You know, attack the legs, get Rhea down to her level, and that's exactly what she was doing, so she could pretty much put Rhea in a position where she could potentially get the win from that. So both of these ladies did very well, and it definitely feels like this is something that either be leading into that Evolution PLE, or we could potentially see this match taking place between, because pretty much how the match ended is, you know, Julia came out causing the DQ, because again, you don't want to have, you know, Roxanne losing this match and everything. You don't want to give everything away. Just getting those little tidbits is fine. You do want to protect both competitors, but I can easily see this either being an Evolution thing that might be a little bit too long. So this could potentially be a match that happens at Battleground. We could potentially see something like that taking place, because even though there was things that came out saying Julia and Roxanne are Raw superstars, yet they're not technically Raw superstars, but they're more than likely going to be a part of that brand. But I feel like if you want to have one last shebang with them, I mean, I feel like Battleground would probably be the best thing you could really do. Then after that, you know, you don't really need to worry about Julia and Roxanne on NXT television anymore. But I definitely feel like this could be the building stages to that match taking place at Battleground, which that's actually supposed to take place, I think, a week or two after. I know it's like towards the end of May, because I know Battleground actually takes place, I believe, either the same day or the Sunday after Double or Nothing for AEW. So I could definitely see this match taking place here. And I also like how we have Io coming out to save Rhea, pretty much paying the favor that Rhea did to Io last week when she was getting attacked by Roxanne and Julia. And I like how you're starting to see them, you know, look eye to eye slowly, but surely they'll get there, because you had a little backstage segment with with Io and Rhea, where Rhea was saying you didn't have to come out there to help me, but then Io's like, well, it kind of looked like you needed my help. So I kind of like how they're starting to get back on track again, looking at each other as friends. You might get another match later down the line. I know some people are saying, oh, maybe after this match, Rhea turns heel. No, she's not going to be turning heel. You're not going to really be getting that sort of thing, because that's not really needed. I do like how they're building the seeds again so they can, you know, be back on track again. If they want to have a match down the line, sure. But I thought from a match standpoint, when it comes to have Roxanne look very good, that was accomplished. Julia getting some heat from the crowd, getting boos, which is a good thing when it comes to her being a heel, because if you're a heel, you want to get booed. You don't want to get cheered. You definitely don't want to get no reaction. She got a reaction tonight, which was nice, because the fans love Rhea. You screw over Rhea, yeah, you're going to get some heat. So that's a check mark in my book. But what was your thoughts on this? I thought this was a really good match between the both of them. Didn't really need a winner because you need to protect them. But I thought it did its job, and it was, like I said, definitely building another good story when it comes to the women's on Raw, because the women, I would have to say, outside of Seth and everything, had a very strong showing on tonight's show.
agree. Like this match was not needed, not in a bad way. It was just not something I expected for a Monday Night Raw to just come out of nowhere. Like, yo, Roxanne and Rhea, and they're gonna start the show. They had a beautiful match that I think that was almost a good 12 minutes. Yes, 11 minutes and 47 seconds. Yes, Chad, your boy Vash now speaks analytical when he speaks about the timing and the DQ. Because look, was the DQ a bad thing? Rhea or Roxanne did not needed a pin anytime soon, so I'm okay why they didn't. But if Rhea got a pin by Roxanne, it would help Roxanne, and also the distraction from Julia, so it helped. If Rhea beat Roxanne, it also could be used a distraction for Julia as well. So vice versa, either or, it helps for the character and one of them being on top. But since it got DQ, the Julia being involved here, and then we have Io Sky coming to help. I believe I gave this theory to Wonkas during the stream that we might get a tag match of Rhea and Io versus Roxanne and with Julia at Backlash, or like you also mentioned at NXT Battleground. I did check the date. NXT Battleground is May 25th, so that is 2 weekends after May 10th of Backlash. So it's gonna be. It's going to be 2 weekends after, which to me logically makes sense, but it depends how they build that up for the next Monday to actually have a tag match on that weekend. If not, they could also have it at Battleground. I don't think Rhea will mind appearing on NXT since that is where she first started and also succeeded in. So I don't think she'll have an issue just appearing there and appearing on a PLE there. Oh, the one thing I was gonna add, did you see the post today involving the Jade Cargill and Jordan Grace comparison in the way of their height and their build? The reason I bring that up because the way Rhea and Roxanne, I feel like Roxanne is Rhea in just a bigger size version of it, because how Rhea should look like, I believe, what was the reference that Watkins brought up? David versus Goliath. That's what it was giving me. Like Roxanne was David, and fucking the way she just kept trying to do a cross body against Rhea during this match, and Rhea just kept catching her like a nothing. Like,
yeah,
okay, you know I'm bigger than you. I could just catch you and just throw you, and that's what she did. She threw her to the barricade one time, and it was just like so easy. It's just throwing like a ragdoll. Like, here you go, boom. That's it. Just drop to the floor.
Yeah, I did see those tweets. I didn't look into it too much, but I did see those tweets. So I do have some knowledge behind that. But yeah, it really was a David and Goliath match. But like I stated earlier, sometimes those are the best matches because it's almost like the ultimate obstacle when you're David trying to overcome somebody like a Rhea. So I thought both of them worked very well together, especially since the last time they came in contact with each other, which was like 2 years ago, I believe. So they definitely did a good job tonight. And I'm definitely digging what they're doing with all four ladies right now. And
yeah, I'm here for it. I'm excited to see what's going to be happening and what's going to be evolving with them, because I know, like, how do you feel about this, by the way? Because I know we're going to touch this maybe during Grappling of the Week this week, but how do you feel about the rumors about Roxanne and Julia being called up already so soon when, you know, Roxanne makes sense. She logically makes sense. Yeah. With Julia also makes sense, even if she wasn't on NXT, with her presence, stardom, and what she's done around the world, makes sense why she's here on the main roster. But to go from NXT and having such a short type of title reign and then going to main roster, and we have heel type of Julia as well, since I know that you also been raving about her with the braids and everything, like her character. How do you feel about this, since I know that you've been a big fan of both of these ladies over the years?
I feel like what they did right here with pairing her with Roxanne is gonna help her get down the right direction, because you saw what happened tonight when it came to her coming out causing the DQ. She got the reaction she needed, because it's good to have a reaction, it's bad to not have one. So the fact that she got a reaction when she caused the DQ, she got the boos, that's the fuel she needs. Just like how Cody wants cheers, just like how Sami wants cheers, that's what she needs in order to help her out. And I feel like Roxanne's going to be there to help guide her, even though she's still new. People still know her and love her. So I feel like with this pairing, it has potential. And I really like the direction it's going down. Because it's one of those things where it's like you got to keep your enemies closer, because that these two used to butt heads, but now they're close now, and I kind of like that. It's like an interesting thing because I never expected it to happen. So when Julia came out last week, I was like, holy shit, okay, this is pretty interesting. Okay, I like this. You know, they have a common goal when it comes to things that they want to dominate together. So I feel like them aligning with each other would probably, you know, do wonders to them. It's better than them being separate. If you have two girls, you know, going after people, especially like Rhea or Io, which the crowd love, I mean, that's going to help them in the long run for sure. 100%. That's going to help them in the long run, and I do like that.
Agree. It was it's gonna be cooking something good, and I'm excited for it. Hopefully, it doesn't take away from NXT, because you know you have praise, we have praise here over the past year that NXT has a great woman division.
Yeah.
Hopefully, taking out Stephanie.
Yeah.
I mean, hopefully taking out Roxanne and Julia, it gives the other ladies, Cora, Kalani, the other ladies there, the you know, Zardia, also Ruka, like all these other ladies, a chance to now shine on their own without being like a background character of the bigger or farmers that they are.
Yeah, I definitely feel like it will, because now that you take those two ladies out, you know, you still got Stephanie there holding the division. You have Jada Parker there. You have Jordan Grace there. There's rumors of Mariah May potentially coming to WWE. So if she doesn't end up on the main roster, she could potentially be there, and that's another main eventer that's in NXT, and then when she eventually heads to the main roster, that's going to be another main eventer for that division. So I feel like when it comes to ladies, they're all set. It's mainly the guys that you should be worried about. Like if they called up Trick, Javon, and Oba all at once, okay, that's very worrisome. You throw Ethan Page in there as well, that's pretty worrisome. So I feel like the men's side is what you got to worry about. With women, like you said, you know, they got all the time in the world to really mold them to be where they need to be. Oh yeah, I also forgot to mention you know, Soul and Zarya as well. So it's like, I feel like they'll be good. More opportunities there. And speaking of opportunities, actually, I mentioned last week that I wanted to wait and see how this plays out, because I understood how people felt when it came to the execution of what transpired last week between Becky Lynch and Lyra Valkyria. Because what we saw on that Sunday night, which was the co-main event of WrestleMania before John Cena and Cody Rhodes, we saw Lyra come out. She had a women's tag title match against Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez, but the whole story there was that Lyra needed a tag partner. Bayley was taken out. We didn't know who it was at the time. And Becky Lynch returned. They had their moment. They won the tag titles at WrestleMania. And I just looked at it as a moment, because that's essentially what happens. And also, when it comes to the current state of the tag titles, I don't really worry about them as much, because they haven't really gave me a reason to really worry about them 100%, just based on how they're built. At least with the IC title now, there's actually potential there. You got a concrete story currently brewing right now where it could actually do something for the title. But with those tag titles, it's like, okay, you know, whatever. And then we see the following night last week that after they lost the match, Becky Lynch attacked Lyra Valkyria out of frustration. And it did feel sudden, but at the same time, it makes sense. You know, Becky comes back. She's like, okay, I'm going to be on this hot streak. What the fuck? I just lost my titles? Okay, you know, I'm going to vent out my frustration on her. There was already reports a couple months back how she wants to venture down a new route when it comes to her character. So that probably fits the whole narrative of the current direction that Becky Lynch is currently going down right now. And this only does wonders for Lyra Valkyria. So when we talked about the segment last week, I was the one that probably felt a little bit different about it, because it's like the way that they did the moment, you kind of had to have Becky have her moment there, because it didn't really make sense for Lyra to fight back, because I mean, that was the whole reason of Lyra coming out tonight and kind of going back and forth with Becky during the little promo segment. Lyra needed to sell what happened. It's almost like Roman Reigns or CM Punk coming out tonight to save Sami Zayn. It's like they got to sell that attack for that week. You got to sell attacks for like certain events that take place. You can't always fight like every given opportunity. I understand in the moment, But again, this is a young superstar. She hasn't really been given anything. So, I mean, that really wasn't that big of a deal to me. But I was looking forward to this segment because we wanted to know exactly, okay, why did you attack Lyra? Why did you do this? Why did you do that? And when it comes to Becky's explanation, she comes out and says that she attacked Bayley. Made sense. That was the story. I'm pretty sure a lot of us knew that, even coming out of the WrestleMania match, that she attacked Bayley. I mean, that was the only narrative that really made sense. But one of the things I really like about this as well is that there's some long-term booking with this when it comes to the history between her and Bayley, because just like Bianca in a way, I mean, Bayley did a lot of devilish shit to Bianca. So even with Bianca, she's not really feeling 100% with Bayley. Bayley did the exact same shit when she turned heel back in 2019. She did a lot of shit to Becky Lynch, so it's kind of hard for Becky Lynch to walk away from that like nothing happened. To her, taking out her frustration on Bayley made sense in the moment, and obviously that's going to tie into the story if Bayley potentially makes the return at Backlash. And one of the things I really like about this that I noticed is what Becky said on the phone about like how you want to be in this position, you want to do this, you want to do that, because that kind of ties in with a lot of the reports that's currently going on right now with Bayley, where Bayley feels like she's not in the position that she feels like she needs to be. She doesn't feel like she's a Becky. She doesn't feel like she's a Charlotte just based on her position in the company. And I kind of like how you have some reality mixed into this, because I feel like you're going to get a good story between Bayley and Becky this year when it comes to Bayley really proving who she is and why she's one of the 4 horsewomen and why she's put in this position to begin with, because I definitely see Bayley coming back. Maybe she comes back that Backlash to really, do something. Maybe she stops Becky from getting the IC title from Lyra. But I want to give credit to Lyra as well, because what Becky did, made sense when it came to her whole narrative of what she did to Bayley and, why she took out Lyra, because she thought that could be somebody that she could trust it, but she's tagging around with this person that fucked her over. So now she became an enemy. And this is only going to do wonders for Lyra, because this is somebody that was a role model to Lyra. And Lyra's been a fan of wrestling for years. She looked up to people like Becky, like a Sasha Banks, because, one of her favorite matches is the iconic Bayley versus Sasha match at NXT TakeOver Brooklyn, which really brought women's wrestling to where it is. So the fact that you're putting some real life shit into this when it comes to Lyra's whole reason of becoming a wrestler to begin with, going up against one of her role models that really brought her to where she wanted to be, and having Lyra kind of step out of that shadow to form her own person. I really like this, because Lyra's always been good on the mic. She's always been very good when it comes to expressing how she feels. She did that when she was feuding with Roxanne. She did that when she was feuding with Lola, pretty much calling out Lola during one of her segments, talking about how the only way Lola really gets over with the crowd is by shaking her ass all the time. So it's like Lyra is very blunt when it comes to her overall presentation, when it comes to the things that she's trying to get out of her system, which is definitely falls in line to her heritage, because a lot of Irish people are like that. They just stick it to you to where it hurts. So it definitely fits that mold when it comes to just venting out all of that frustration. And I like how she came out here just saying that, she's the better wrestler. She's not going to be this Becky Lynch. She wants to be Lyra Valkyria, which is a good thing, because you want to be your own person. It's not a bad thing if you want to have a role model, because all of these people that are in the business that are a lot younger, that are around her age, they got inspired by a John Cena, a CM Punk, a Becky, a Charlotte, a Bayley, etc., so on. So it's like, that's not a bad thing. But of course, at the end of the game, you want to become your own person. You want to make yourself stand out. And I feel like this is the main point of this feud. Becky, as you noticed, allowed Lyra to have her moments where she was talking, letting her get in, so we can get invested with what she's saying. And I'm really looking forward to seeing how this is going to be when it comes between the both of them, because this is the right direction that we're going when it comes to making the IC title feel important. You got somebody like Becky that's a legend in the business, somebody that's been in the game for so long, future Hall of Famer. And one of the things that Becky's known for is the being selfless, helping other people grow. So they paired the both of them for a reason, to help establish Lyra, but also setting the IC title in the right direction that it needs to be. So I did enjoy this segment, and I'm really looking forward to it because, like I mentioned earlier, the women outside of the Seth stuff, they definitely did a very good job tonight.
Look. Look. Last week when it happened, I was mad about this. I was really mad about the representation of this horrible way of turning her heel, the way she did the man slam, Lyra, not knowing how to react. She was, I don't know, like her character looked like she was scared of Becky and everything, which is honorably understandable. She's your role model. She's a person that you saw out. She's Irish. You want to be like the Irish tag team champion. You guys, like Drop mentioned, you accomplished that. You accomplished something at WrestleMania, and you also became a double champ of the IC title and tag team belts under your belt. That is great. You had that for 24 hours. I love the video package. Literally saying and pointing out 24 hours later, this is what happens, which is very true. I will say this. The reason I am kind of skeptical because I didn't like how it first started. However, for this promo, it was what explained. Because Becky came out and said, like, yo, Becky's been fucking bullying me since 2019. And you know what I did, guys? I didn't give a fuck. I came here and I found out who took her out. It was me, Rock. I did it for you. I'm like, damn, everyone that's attacking people. It reminded me of if anybody understood the reference, of the Jade and the Trinity, aka Naomi. It reminded me of that type of storyline. So it kind of makes sense when it comes to the character of what Becky said, that talking about Bayley, that, hey, yo, Bayley, I thought you was, you always talk this shit, that you was better, you was always this, you was part of the Four Horsemen. And Becky's like, nah, I was always better than you. I'm going to do me, and I know I'm better. The reason I'm kind of mixed on this itself for Becky, and it helped me turn over, it was Lyra coming out. Lyra took another passionate promo of what Pat McAfee did. Lyra did that. I'm not saying who did better, but Lyra did a good promo because I was very proud of her. She came out. I wish they weren't like really talking that way. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. Like, for example, Becky was on the outside of the ring and Lyra was going through the ropes a couple times in and out and trying to give the promo. It kind of took me out drop. I don't know about you, but like, I wish they were more in the ring with each other, going from promo to promo in front of each other, but one being lower where Becky was on the side of the ring and where Lyra just going inside the ring. I don't know. It kind of threw me off. It might just be like a viewer experience in my part, but threw me off in that type of perspective. I like how you brought up when Lyra told Becky that you are not, and I won't be the next Becky Lynch.
Yeah, because people do say that. That is some real shit people say.
People have said that she is the next Becky Lynch, and I love it when people say, nah, I might be the next version of them. We may come from the same place. We may have come through the same struggles, but I am my own person. Mm-hmm. I am Lyra Valkyria, and I appreciate it. She said that, and I love how she said, like, yo, if you want to run this back again, I took your NXT title and I became the champion. And I was very happy because I didn't hear it during the promo that this match is for the IC title. And I love how Becky Lynch, one line that made me so happy to hear that if Becky Lynch does win, I know she will make that title feel important more than Lyra been doing. No offense to Lyra. It's not her fault. It's the booking aspect. But I like what Becky Lynch said. That she said, let's go one-on-one. Because I'm not going to work for free. It kind of reminds me of Logan Paul. But I love how Becky Lynch said, look, I'm going to make that title like I made you. And of course, Lyra said, you didn't make me and everything. But I love how Becky Lynch brought that in because it was very on the point. Because we have given the complaints over the past couple months, the Lyra booking has not been great. Chelsea Green, her booking, her storyline, even if you don't like the comedy, has been a lot better in the entertaining aspect, at least in the having some type of TV time. Lyra hasn't. She's been on the sideline, not a lot of matches. She's been taking a pin from Bayley, working together, even sent a text to Bayley saying, I miss you, girl. So it's like all convoluted. Not that all the pieces are coming together with Becky attacking Bayley. We know down the road, probably by SummerSlam, we're going to have a match of Becky versus Bayley for sure. And I'm sure we're going to have that very soon. Maybe during SummerSlam. I'm going to put it right now, night 1 or night 2.
Yeah, I could potentially see it taking place there 100% if they want to go down that direction when it comes to the Bayley versus Becky thing, because they definitely need to cross paths to really settle the business between the both of them, especially
Agreed.
if what I brought up earlier, kind of tying in the whole thing with Bayley currently about what she's been saying, how she doesn't feel like she really lives up to Becky or Charlotte when it comes to that. That's kind of how, that's like a couple things I did take from their promo segment when it came to Becky before Lyra came out, when it came to how she was talking about Bayley. So I definitely feel like that's going to come into play once Bayley vents out her frustration towards Becky. I feel like that's going to be very interesting to dive into. And I'm still hoping,
hopefully this helps her out.
Yeah. And I feel like what's going to happen is I feel like Becky will get the title. You'll probably have that match between her and Bayley or whatever. But I definitely feel like you're going to revisit her and Lyra once again. And then Lyra will probably end up getting that title back because, you know, it's kind of a similar situation with John. Not saying they're the exact same storyline or anything. But you got to really establish John's goal about ruining wrestling and having all these other guys come at him before Cody comes back and takes it back. That's kind of how I see with Becky, where it's like, you know, Becky really needs to prove what she's trying to do with her motive before you have Lyra come around again, because not that many people have seen that match on NXT, because not everybody on the main roster, especially when it comes to casual fans, know any of these people's on NXT. So actually establishing that on the main roster, telling a compelling story between both of them, and actually revisiting an experience like that again, and potentially maybe even having that match itself be better than that, I feel like is definitely the end game. I mean, if I'm being honest, I mean, we did say Becky versus Bayley at like a SummerSlam or whatever. I could potentially see that being an Evolution. That could be an Evolution match, and then maybe we do Lyra and Becky at SummerSlam. I could definitely see something like that playing, but I just feel like I'm happy overall that there's actually a concrete story when it comes to putting the IC title in a match with somebody like a Becky Lynch getting involved now. Because if Becky really wanted to, she can go after the world title, but she knows this is a new title that needs to be established, that needs to have some leverage to it. So I like how she's currently working with this so we can get to where we need to be with this. Because if there's one person I can definitely see doing wonders with that title is her. Not saying that she needs to hold the title until like next year or anything, but at least do a little something with it to get it on the path that it needs to go, to help guide Lyra. Because I feel like it's not just going to be a Becky and Bayley story. Like, you got to throw Lyra in there as well, because she is integrated in the story. She is a part of the story, because it all started with Bayley teaming with Lyra and just everything playing out in here. So you got three key factors here, and you got Bayley and Becky, you know, getting involved, you know, possibly even helping build up Lyra even more, which is definitely smart thinking when it comes to establishing somebody. But I did like this segment tonight. It did what it needed to do. And I'm curious to see what we're going to be getting next week, because I didn't realize that Backlash was so soon. Like, Jesus Christ, it's like fucking...
Literally next Saturday.
It's really
not this Saturday, next Saturday. Literally the week of my birthday. So it's pretty exciting.
And for all we know, Bayley could actually come back at that pay-per-view.
Yeah, that is true. Bayley could show up, because I think the injury that she's supposed to have, I think it's a shoulder, or I think it's elbow. So those are healed within a month. She like got hit. By the time Backlash happened, that's 3 weeks later. The arm/fake elbow injury could be healed. So by then, it's a good time for her to show up. I agree. I'm kind of a bit disappointing in that aspect because, look, I'm happy for Becky doing this. Or the IC title, make them Grand Slam, like actual Grand Slam champions. Not that IC title and the US titles are included and everything.
Yeah.
But I wish it was more in the focus point of the mid-carder. But like you said, if Becky wins or Bayley wins, and whoever takes the title from them in the future, hopefully this propels the mid-carder division a lot more.
Yeah.
Because, for example, the US title on the women's side in SmackDown, we went from Chelsea Green, who's a mid-carder, to Zelina Vega. So we expect maybe Chelsea Green could still stay in the mid-carder, or she may go up the card. Who knows? But at least we're staying the mid-carder level. But then now on the IC title, we're using that for a story aspect. So hopefully once we move along by SummerSlam, like we spoke about, maybe by September of the Clash in Paris, we can move along from back to the mid-carders. Like we could get the chance of Dakota, or the next person that we're going to talk about, Ivy Nile, because I'm proud of her. She also had a good match with Stephanie Vaquer that we're about to jump into. So hopefully this goes back into the mid-carders, because look, I'm here for all the storylines, but I also want the Dakota, the mid-carders right now for our women division in the Raw to also get their own spotlight, not get back to the main carders, the top carders like, Becky Lynch, Lyra, and Bayley are. Again, that I just want to point out to the audience to remember, like, the point of the mid-carder title, the IC in the US, was because to give the mid-carders their own stories and everything. But since, I don't know if it was the booking or whatever it may be, they got to this point is where we are. But hopefully we don't forget them. That's all I want to say.
Yeah, I feel like you'll get to that. You just gotta let this marinate, because this is pretty much the stairs to get there. Because once you launch this to the stratosphere, that's when you're going to get all these other people coming after it. You need to really make that title matter so we give a shit about it first before we eventually dive into everybody else coming after it. And you did mention something interesting about Clash in Paris, because they are going to be in Dublin, Ireland, which is where Lyra and I believe Becky is from during that tour.
Yes, you're right.
So we could potentially see something play out there. But like you mentioned earlier, there was also our NXT champion that appeared on Raw tonight as well, which I really like how Stephanie is getting her moments on Raw, because I definitely feel like she's going to be one of the people that's going to be called up whenever she does. She will be on the Raw brand to get the crowd familiar with her, because Raw always wants to have like a lot of those key players when it comes to the big guns for their division. So regardless how you feel about it or not, I'm not saying that SmackDown doesn't have anybody. I mean, they have like Cody Rhodes, Roman, and all of them, because Roman is still technically a SmackDown superstar. It's not like they don't have nobodies. They got Jacob Fatu's, Charlotte Flair, and all of them. So like
John Cena, Randy Orton, like we have the people, Nia Jax, and all these things. But this is Raw on Netflix. They promoted this like, hey, on the USA Network, SmackDown International is Netflix. But the marketing where they make the sponsorship money and everything, where Drop is, trying to bring it up. Like, yo, we got Stephanie Vaquer, which I'm proud for her, because one, she's doing double the work. She's working on Monday night. And then in the next few hours, by 7 a.m., 9 in the morning, she's going to fly out back to Florida and then go tape their show for NXT. So she is doing the double the work for NXT as the women's champion, and also right there in the ring with Chad Gable and Ivy Nile, which I'm proud of Ivy Nile. Like, she actually did a good performance. I believe this match was a good 15 minutes or less, I believe, from the top of my head.
Yeah, it definitely did get some
10 minutes.
Yeah, it got a decent amount of time, and it was a pretty good match showcasing who Stephanie Vaquer is. And I finally know the name of the move. It's called Devil's Kiss. I finally know the name of the move, because they never really told us the name of the move for so long.
The one with the booty? Are you talking about that one? The one with the booty? Okay.
Yeah, because they never told us the name of the move. So I'm glad we know the name of the move. Maybe they had, but that's the first time I caught them actually saying it towards us.
The time that I only remember the move drop is that
yeah,
that's the only way I remember the move, is the hands railing. It's pretty weird to see the move and not hear Booker T in my ears, not doing the sound effects. So when me and Watkins was doing the sidecast, me and him was doing the sound effects for ourselves because it just makes it more funnier. Or we just kept doing the 1, 2, 3, and I think she did up to 9. I think in the second time she did it, Ivy Nile kind of started to die out on the last few, so kind of killed the facade of it. But it was still a good match. Also Chad Gable was, being cocky as usual, talking about it during commercial break. In case you guys didn't see it, Chad Gable did talk about a Grande Americano. He talked his bullshit to Penta when he was walking out, and Penta talking shit like, yo, that's what your brother lost against to, oh sorry, not me, to a Grande Americano. And Penta got mad about it, yo, you don't talk shit about my brother. We are the Luchador brothers. We don't do that. And he defended him. He did a nice super kick. And I believe next week we're gonna see Penta versus Finn. So that's pretty cool. I wish we saw Penta versus a Gran Americano, but most likely that's too soon because most likely a Gran Americano needs to pick up more wins. And I feel like now that a Gran Americano, aka Chad and Penta, crosses paths now, we might get that in the future now, probably in the next couple weeks. So right after they came out, Chad Gable did a little promo of how he won, a Gran Americanos, all that. Ivy Nile started the match with Stephanie Vaquer, which I'm very impressed. I'm very impressed. Dropped that they actually had almost a good 10-minute match. It was actually a 9-minute 32-second, but I honestly thought it was going to be a squash match from Stephanie Vaquer to Ivy Nile. I was shooting like a 4 or 5 minute match, but while the match kept going on, I'm like, wow, I'm impressed that they're actually letting them cook a good almost 10-minute match. I was very happy, impressed. Now did a good showing, good sell a few times, so I was very impressed.
Yeah, I was too. I really liked how they were handling everything when it came to just giving Stephanie a good showcase here, having Ivy Nile, do a couple things here and there because Ivy Nile's not like always on TV, so it's nice to give her a little moment here and there. And I'm just really interested to see exactly like what we're going to be doing with Stephanie moving forward, because I am excited to see her on television when it comes to Raw, because it's definitely going to add a lot of flavor when it comes to the women's division. Especially if you're throwing in like especially you're throwing in like Roxanne, Julia, and Stephanie coming out from NXT. Like that's definitely going to add a lot to the women's division to make it feel more alive when it comes to people that obviously Triple H knows what they're gonna do with them. So this match did what it needed to do. I mean, I'm not gonna spend too much time on it. I love Stephanie. I love seeing her. So the last thing we're gonna. Huh?
Oh no. Sorry, Drop. I said that I do have a question for you about this match though, because during commentating, they said that she still is considered the bulldog, or the pitbull. It throws me off that if she's considered like her character, like the pitbull, the aggressive, I don't see much of the aggressive side from a character Ivy now in the ring. She has a good performance and everything, but I just wish they kind of move away from that character of Ivy now, of her being a bulldog or pitbull, being aggressive when she doesn't give that attitude. She kind of laughs and giggles more, even about the Gran Americano or when Chad Gable talks very highly about it. But also, she keeps joining Chad Gable as their mentor with and under the Creed brothers. So, like, right now, they're on a losing streak. So, I just wanted to quickly, point that out since Ivy now is part of this. This is part of her character and part of the Creed brothers. I want to just point out, a quick question to you. How do you think about this take about her character that she is considered the bulldog, the pitbull, but she's not really acting the aggressive type, or as John Cena said, the ruthless aggression against Kurt Angle. But then you also have her losing against also Stephanie Vaquer. That's not being buried, guys. I want to point that out. That's not being buried. This is actually a good match, a good showmanship, and for them to trust Stephanie Vaquer and having out to work together on TV, congrats to them. But I was more talking about like her character and also the losing streak that she's on with the Creed brothers working under Chad Gable. So I just want to point that out to you real quick. What you think about it?
I mean, when it comes to backing up what your nickname is, and that was a big talking point on last night's episode of LFG, like when you have Shawn Michaels known as Mr. WrestleMania, the showstopper, AJ Styles known as the Phenomenal One, Rhea known as Mommy, Charlotte known as the Queen, Cody known as the American Nightmare. When you have that sort of nickname, what the main goal that the judges wanted them to achieve in that episode is to represent that moniker, to show why you're this so-and-so person. And when you look at it, Pitbull, they're very vicious, they strike, and they don't back down from a fight. She hasn't really been able to show that based on the creative direction. So it's kind of hard to really take her seriously with that sort of nickname if they're not really having her go out there and proving that sort of moniker that she has. So I kind of like how that was brought up on commentary and the way you asked it, because if you're going to have a nickname like that, you got to live up to it. The Legend Killer, the Viper. Randy has shown us why he's that kind of person. Charlotte has shown us why he's that kind of person. You got Bayley as a role model. She's shown that before. So it's like it's like a make or break situation. Either she gets some good creative eventually with Chad Gable, or she just has to break out from it, realize that Chad Gable's dead weight, holding her back from achieving where she needs to go. Same thing with the Creed brothers. And then maybe that's when they start really getting where they need to be so she could live up to that moniker. That's the only thing that could really help her out in that moment of time.
Agreed. So like that's the reason why I want to ask, just to like feel the temperature, to know that I'm not the only one feeling like this, and also audience, chime in, talk to us of how you feel about her character being portrayed, because it's the creative of the booking. Because I love her attire, I love her gear, I love the way also Stephanie Vaquer was grabbing by the braids and everything, showing the aggression. It's not from Stephanie Vaquer's side, but she is a aggressive wrestler. She's a person that always likes to do taunts. But then when you don't have the Pitbull, the character that she is being portrayed as Avi now, it just throws me off. I'm like, girl, just, commentator, stop bringing that shit up. It doesn't even add no flavor or anything to the core of her character. So I just want to point that out to you. So I appreciate it, chiming in and interacting.
Definitely, for sure. And the last thing that we're going to touch on before we reach our quick fire segments to close out our show is the War Raiders versus Finn Balor and JD McDonagh, which I'm going to call him JD McDonagh because I got to give a lot of props for the guy, because we normally make funny nicknames about him all the time. I got to give him his props because he came back from a life-threatening injury when it came to the position that he was in. So I'm happy he's back. I'm happy that he's recovering. And it's good just to see him on television again. He's a great performer, and I'm hoping he could reach those heights that he definitely needs to be in. And the whole story of this match setting up, we had a backstage segment with the Judgment Day, and we saw how Liv set up a match for Finn and JD McDonagh going up against the War titles to get gold again. Because Liv has gold, Raquel has gold, Dom's the IC champion, Carlito, just doing Carlito things. So she wants to help them get on the right track again when it comes to them going after that. And they didn't really inform Finn about anything that's currently going on, which is, again, the story of this. Just them going out, doing what they need to do, not really cooperating as a unit. That's pretty much the whole story of the Judgment Day at this very moment. But that's basically the little quick summary of how we got to the match, folks. And this was basically a basic tag match. Itself wasn't anything crazy or over the top. Carlito tries to get in there as a distraction, which he normally does, because, if Carlito's not involved in a tag match, if it comes to him basically being in the ring, he's out there doing, outside shenanigans, trying to help his buddies get some leverage in the match itself. And I'm really hoping we get a sort of good direction with the tag team picture, because compared to SmackDown, it's literally night and day.
Oh my God, such a big difference.
SmackDown had a phenomenal match on Friday's episode.
That main event, TLC, beautiful. I wasn't here for it, and I know you guys spoke great things about that match.
Mhm.
I know you guys glazed. I can't believe I used that word, but glazed that match as it was. I saw the match 2 days too late, but it was amazing. That TLC, all those 6 men, God bless their soul. Hopefully
Mhm.
they'll recover. Did the ice pack, the rice, the compression, the elevation, the
Commercial
whole
free too.
goddamn thing. Yes, commercial free house. What, it was a great, and also uploaded on YouTube. So I didn't even have to turn on my VPN, go to Netflix or nothing. I literally went YouTube, cast, start watching. Me and wifey started watching. She joined in with me. It was a good match. So just to see this drop saying that, it hurts my soul to even hear that, because it was night and day. It was fucking night and day. Because how you telling me, look, I don't mind the New Day. The New Day came out for commentary. It was nice to hear them. They added, like, look, the New Day being heels on the commentary, great. Because you know what? It made me realize, yo, Booker, Triple H, why haven't you fucking done this for the past 4 months since you turned them heel? Have them come out during every tag team match and have them chime in. This would have been useful. Just have them being involved in the tag division. It would have been so crucial and tremendous to have that little flavor. The little flakes in, just having them being there, because that commentating even helped them, where even the War Raiders, through, I believe, Finn, the New Day, I believe, or through Dom, I forgot who they turn around and they flung one of them, right? I don't remember who they
I don't
flung.
remember on top of my head.
I believe it was Ivar, and he grabbed Finn or Dom. I mean Finn or JD to the New Day, and the match to continue. The World Raiders won, and I was very happy to see JD back. Light Drop said earlier, not gonna say, we do jokes around there, say, McDonagh, McBobblehead, or even if you're seeing Punk and want to throw a whole type of comic book reference and throw his big ass head and tag him on it. But he deserved the praise, the hype. This man could have had a life-threatening type of injury, but he saved himself. He good recovery. Really curious to see where we're gonna go with his character, though. For JD, since JD, aka, spoke to Dom, say, "Yo, I'm gonna be back next week," after he won the title. Finn was unaware of the communication, and also Liv helped out with the, "Hey, I got you guys a tag titles opportunity to get it back." Feels like, yeah, sure, why not, no issues. But ask for one thing. Say, "Yo, I don't mind you guys doing this, but can I ask for one thing? Can you let me know and keep me in the loop?" As a friend and as a team member, like me, Drop R, like Watkins and everything, and my other 5 team members under the company of Animal Studio, the one thing I always tell them, I will always communicate to them. I will always keep them in the loop. And if I haven't communicated, always tag me, always pick me, because I know it sucks to be out of the loop, not knowing information. Once you jump in and come to work, you be like, "All right, cool, I'm gonna come do task numbers 1 through 5," but then you get told, "Nah, I already did 1 through 5 for you. You gotta do 6 through 10." You be like, "What the fuck? I was not mentally prepared for that." So just Finn, just being out of the loop and not knowing these things, I feel like, not saying JD will betray him, because I hope not, because that's a long friend and also his mentor and everything. I just hope. I'm really curious to see, because I know Finn is gonna branch out and be his own thing, but I really don't got thousands of theories drop. Like, you have a speculation where this is gonna go for Finn and JD. Like, you think instead of having that match that a lot of people thought was gonna have, Dom versus Finn at WrestleMania, you think we might get something of like Finn versus JD at probably SummerSlam or something? Like, you think we're gonna build for something further, like, "Yo, JD, why haven't you communicated to me as you said? Like, why you being late with it? They're telling you things, but not telling me what's going on here. Like, this is my Judgment Day or our Judgment Day, but I feel like I'm being left out."
Yeah, I don't really know. It's kind of hard to tell based on what they're doing right now, because it could either be the Dom thing, it could be the JD McDonagh thing, it could be something else entirely. I mean, I know for sure, like, Finn's gonna be done with the Judgment Day sometime this year, and you're gonna have Dom take control of the charge. But I don't really know, really. Like, I feel like once we get like a certain segment, or whatever happens within a match itself, or it gives us a good indication of who Finn is going after, what Finn's next approach is going to be, or vice versa with Dom and JD McDonagh. I feel like from there, we could probably get a good idea of where it could possibly go, because they haven't really gave us any clues outside of the obvious. Like, once a certain trigger moment happens, I feel like we'll probably find out what we're doing next. But they ended up losing the match because of Penta. Penta has a match with JD McDonagh next week. That's
How did you
good.
feel about that?
Lucha Bros was mentioned on the first time on TV. I don't know if you pointed that out.
That's true.
So
yes, we did bring that up earlier, but not the first time. So good acknowledgement on that aspect. But how did you feel about Penta involving himself? Which logically it makes sense. I believe Watkins brought it up during the sidecast, because at first it threw me off, like, oh my god, why Penta? Like, you know, with Carlitos throwing the apple and just rolling the apple in the ring, it's such a fucking Carlitos move, but it just made sense. But I was very happy to see Penta coming out, involving himself again. The Judgment did, but makes sense because Penta had a match versus Dom last week, and Carlitos cost the match, and Finn is the one that cost him the match as well. So logically, it makes sense that Penta now cost JD the match for them not to become the number one contenders for the tag titles. So I was very comfortable with this once Walker's explained to me the logical aspect, and it made sense.
Yeah, that makes sense, especially if you look, and you even had like JD McDonagh coming back too. So he was kind of like one of the other reasons that that Dom was able to win that match as well. So that was probably like a little receipt that Penta had in store to get back, because he did he did catch JD McDonagh off guard in this match, which pretty much, you know, led to what transpired within the match itself. But I mean, that match between the both of them should be really good next week. I'm hoping they just handle business and we just let that match cook.
Yes, please no DQ. I don't need that. This is the first time. Oh, wait a minute. Holy shit. I just thought about it. This is the first time we have a match of JD in a singles match. And there's probably not going to actually be no comedy or no type of crazy sell. Like, obviously, it's going to be Penta versus JD in a good match of selling and everything. But I hope this is a good type of serious match that we haven't had of JD on the main roster performance, because we have had great matches of JD on the NXT UK, and any matches of the Indies that anybody of the fans and audience have watched. But actually on the main roster, I'm really actually more excited for this now more than before. JD versus Penta on the main roster. Yeah. Yes, I'm here for it.
Yeah, that's the first time we're getting. He's had single matches before. He doesn't get them.
But it wasn't before this injury where he was kind of like squash matches, or it was more for like more for comedy or story. Now this time we're about to get a match where it was going to be Penta versus JD, and I know it's going to cook, and I hope, because now I believe we said a couple months ago that when JD comes back, we was hoping for a push. Hopefully JD now, with coming back, he could get the pop, the hype, and get the deserved push that he should get.
Yeah, if you talk about like a legitimate match, and yes, like definitely when it comes to him coming back from a return, I feel like the best thing you could really do is just get him back on track again. So yes. I do like that. And then
you and me were both about to do the same thing. I was going to say, the other last member of the Judgment Day that we didn't get to talk about is Dom and Liv and Raquel, because there's two things that came about them. We have Liv and Raquel coming to Adam Pearce. Wait, my apologies. Nick Aldis and Adam. Oh my God, again. Nick Aldis gets a little questionable comment from Liv Morgan saying, hey, I need some time off out of a big Hollywood movie. So that gives me questionable / red flags, because one, if you're going to be out, is Raquel going to be defending her title with Carlitos, or with who, or by herself, or is this going to be like a storyline, because she said that she's going to be, you know, need some time off, or is this just like a 2-week type of being gone for a scene and then it's all good? And Dom asked for some time off because he's a champion and he wants some time off. But then AJ Styles was in the same room asking for opportunities and to get back in the light of day. So AJ Styles said, you know what? Dom was talking too much shit. And Dom having a second match, a second title defense sometime soon with the next couple weeks. We're gonna get Dom versus AJ Styles, the phenomenal one. Fucking sign me up. This is gonna be a great match and a good booster to help Dom feels more legit as well. So how do you feel about this? Because I know you was also about to do transition, but I know that you was also
not necessarily.
Are you skeptical about this little Liv Morgan stuff about her asking for time off like I am, or how do you feel?
No, because she legit has a movie role. That's
Oh
legitimate.
shit.
That's legitimate.
Yeah, I heard about it, but like, how do you feel about the more like her being a tag title champion? This might be conflicting. Some people, some audience might be like, "Hey, she has to be there, you know, defend her title." You know, Raquel being there, because remember when it was Jade and Bianca? Once Jade got taken out, they had to relinquish her title. Of course, Jade was, you know, hit by the car, so of course they had like a different type of excuse. And then, you know, Naomi jumped in like, "Yo, I could replace your, you know, your tag partner." But with Liv, she is being out for a couple of weeks. Who knows? How do you feel about that? Like, is it more of an excuse? Like, cause you know the IWC is gonna probably say something about it.
Didn't Nick Aldis say no?
Oh, still said no, yeah. But we're gonna find out next week what could it be. Yeah, true.
I mean, it's like I said earlier, it never gave us a reason to care about them, so why should I care now? If you ask the IWC, they don't really care about the tag titles.
That is very true. I guess I'm one of the very few. I'm the minority that has grown to like the tag titles when it's under, at least in representation story wise. Has it been a well executed perfectly? No. But has at least been here and there. Liv and Raquel and Naomi and Jade / Naomi and with Bianca. So at least it has been there to some representation. Has it been perfect? Hell no. But maybe things might turn around. It's been here and there. There are 3-time, I believe, tag title champions, I believe now, or 4th time now since they lost, and then they got it back now. So actually a 4th time now.
Yeah, 4 times. I mean, it's like I said, like Nick Aldis didn't approve of it, so she's not really getting what she wants. But even if she leaves a little bit, I mean, it's like we spoke about earlier. We have like 2-3 other like women's storylines going on right now. That's outshining this one right now. So we already have like a lot of things going on at once. So if we don't get some focus on the tag titles for a little bit, and you want to focus on that tension between Dom and Finn when it comes to everything going along with the Judgment Day, I mean, that's probably something that you could do. So I mean,
and
that's
how do you feel about the AJ Styles?
I already said before that I feel like it's a good move if you really want to have Dom go out there, do something interesting with AJ and everything. So I am nothing against that at all.
Okay. I'm excited. I don't think we're gonna get Backlash because we already have 3 matches already for Backlash that are representing from Raw and 1 SmackDown. So it's kind of hard to say they're gonna add another Raw. I feel like that would be oversaturated, and I don't think so, because the other option that I believe I saw somebody posted on the timeline, they may add Roman and CM Punk versus Bron Breakker and Seth, and I feel like that's too soon. Like maybe Money in the Bank in June, or I believe in June 5th. I believe that's the next one after that. So possibly, but I hope not for that PLE for Backlash, because I feel like it's too soon, and that's not saying oversaturating, but I feel like it's just too soon. I don't think so.
Yeah, we'll just wait and see how things go with that. I mean, just looking at the whole Liv thing, I mean, even if she does take time off to do the movie, there's still the whole Finn and Dom story you could tell. So you don't really need to have the women's tag titles really be there in that moment, because there's other people on the Judgment Day besides them. So you could easily take that time to fully get into that and kind of give us some sort of leeway with what Finn and Dom are doing when it comes to the overall separation. Because you saw Dom go in for the kill at WrestleMania to get the title to begin with, and you obviously have been teasing a lot of this tension going on between him and Finn. So there's something you can work with there if she's gone for about a week or 2.
Amen to that.
So the last thing that we're going to be touching on is our quickfire segments, where we're pretty much just going to be talking about a few little tidbits of other segments that took place throughout Raw tonight outside of what we typically talk about when it comes to the matches and other ongoing storylines that outshine the others. And the first thing that we saw was the Rusev vignette, where it's pretty much letting us know the kind of character he is, what his goals are, and what he's striving for. And this is essentially his Redeemer gimmick that he had in AEW when it comes to the overall direction of what he wants to accomplish. So I'm glad that we're using this vignette to establish Rusev when it comes to his initial goal, seeing how he's a different person compared to where he was before, because he mentioned that, he felt like he was in the abyss when he was in the company before, when it came to where he was at that time, and now looking at where he is now. So I like how we're getting a vignette so people can get reintroduced to Rusev, and then we can see that match between him and Aldis take place next week, which should be a really good match between the both of them. But even though people know who Rusev is, it's still good to get a vignette like this so okay, this is who Rusev is now since he returned to the company. And I wouldn't be surprised in the slightest you might get something like that with Malachi Black on Friday to really see where he is now when it comes to his return. Maybe you get some sort of insight on that, because you want to know what these people are doing. Like, you don't want them just returning and then just doing matches. Like, you want to know, okay, Rusev returned. What is Rusev's goal now? What is Aleister Black's goal now? Like, so I expect
I agree.
something like that to happen with Aleister on Friday too, just like Rusev. But this did a good job showing us what he's striving for right now. And
So
also shows he doesn't really need Lana to really help him, do any promo segments or anything. He did a very good job doing this in AEW, and he's doing a really good job here.
yes, I believe he had the line that I don't need a woman and I don't need a flag to represent who I am. I believe those were, paraphrasing the words he said, and which was very beautiful, because a lot of people in our real world, like, they sometimes identify sometimes with co-partnership with your partner. Just sometimes you always have that plus one, or sometimes you always represent the flag you come from. Like me, I'm from Colombia. A lot of people be forgetting, and I'm Hispanic, Latino, or you look like a kid. So I'm out here, Colombia, representing my flag. That's where I come from. That's where I was born from. So just showing that he said, I don't need that flag. I don't need my woman. I don't need anybody to represent who I am. I am who I am, and you guys will see me in the ring, and you guys will see me in action. I will take down whoever I did. AKA, that's what he did. He was ready to take down the New Day, and he did that for Alpha Academy. He said, oh, yeah, still in this ring. I'm going to take you out, Tozawa. I'm going to take you out, Aldis. And me and Trump and Walker thought that we were gonna get a match of Aldis versus Rusev next week, aka today. It didn't happen. It got pushed for next week, which maybe for timing or whoever knows. But I'm here for it. I'm excited for this match for Aldis and Rusev, because something that Drop said, I wasn't here for the Aleister Black, his character being on screen during NXT and everything. I wasn't here. I was aware of him. I just didn't see much of his content. But when it comes to Rusev, I knew of him because I knew of the clips. I knew of Rusev Day. I knew all those things. I just didn't see too much of his in-ring ability. So it's going to be very exciting to see actually come back. I've seen a few clips of his AEW stuff, but I'm just excited to see what he has done from before in a different company, in the old one, and now he comes back to a new version of himself. So it's all about the funny games. I love how they didn't really say AEW. They was very ambiguous. Like, I was on a mission. I found myself. I did my journey. Now I'm back to where the journey first started, and now we're gonna finish it. So I just really love those type of vignettes when they say, like Cody Rhodes or any other superstars gone to a different AEW or etc. They could be like, yo, I did my mission, I came back, and now I'm better. I started where I am, now I'm finishing. So it just feels great. So I'm here for it. And I'm happy. Like, I'm happy to see Rusev do a good type of vignette and good type of representation. So I'm here for it.
So I didn't really catch the rest of these tidbits, so you might have to fill me in with this, because I was watching for my Netflix with the commercials. I don't have the VPN. So
all right, so chat with there was two other things of the quickfire thoughts that I'm like I'm gonna give you a like drop. Just said that it was through the VPN. I was seeing it in the international, and we saw the Ludwig. He had like a 1 minute or 1 minute 20 seconds. He gave from a If you guys like what Pat McAfee said, or what who else also gave a passionate promo, it was Pat McAfee, and I believe Lyra Valkyria. I also give Ludwig Kaiser gave a passionate promo of him not being part of WrestleMania, him talking about himself, and him being still on top and everything. I felt it, and I believe he got cut short because we had to transition back from the commercial. So I can't really put too much since it was a good 1 minute passionate promo about being him on top, and we sadly got back in transition into back from commercial. So it was good. I highly do recommend it if you guys want to go on the timeline or go look for on YouTube or wherever it is. But the one from Grayson Waller and Austin Theory with Jackie Redmond, the promo during the commercial, it was Grayson Waller having a match next week and telling Austin Theory, because Austin Theory was actually getting a pop from the crowd. Feeling them. He was talking about Texas and everything, doing actually I think was trying to hype them up. But then Austin Theory does his usual himself, call himself in, have, I believe, a champion of football and everything, and chimes in, so like, yo, I haven't had to tell you, but I have some hype shit to say. We have, I have a match next week, and it's me going for a singles title. And I believe he said something about like a number one contender and everything. So then Austin Theory, Grayson Waller just left the interview after he announced that, and I believe we had like 20 seconds left of the commercial, and it was Austin Theory just kind of bamboozle or like stunned and be like, wait, like what the fuck's going on? Like, you just got a match for singles, we're supposed to be a tag team, or we're supposed to be a team, you're supposed to communicate to me. So I love how he was stunned, a very good type of facial expression, showing like slowly the betrayal, even though myself, Marcus, and Drop been saying this for the past year and 6 months, roughly saying that they're really milking this betrayal. They're really milking this feud that's going to be cooking from Grayson Waller and Austin Theory soon. Hopefully, it ends by SummerSlam. I'm kind of cooking a lot of things for SummerSlam, because if people don't remember, it's literally one night and a second night, back to back, that Saturday and Sunday. Yeah. So they have a good 14 matches or less to really give. We have 10 at least, 5.
It's probably going to be the same amount as WrestleMania. So 7 one night, 7 the next.
Yeah, exactly. So like I said, max 14. The minimum we're going to have is a good 10 matches. So at least we have the Grayson Waller versus Austin Theory. If they cook this well until SummerSlam, it could be a good story and have them continue, probably bickering and everything. So those were the two little quick fire thoughts that anybody want. If they didn't get the chance to check out during commercial, if you didn't have the VPN here out in the US.
Yeah, so just chime in on what you said. I mean, good for Kaiser. It's good to have him do, a little something. And when it comes to the whole Grayson Waller and Austin Theory thing, I mean, I'm just going to see where it goes. I don't want to look into it too much, because you have a lot of scenarios play out like this all the time. So I'm just hoping, if this is the case, if we get some sort of thing with these guys doing something with their partnership, I'm hoping we start building the bridge to get where we really need to be with these guys, instead of just continuing it just for the sake of continuing it. But I mean, hopefully something comes out of it. Wouldn't mind a little undercard match for SummerSlam, because we did get some of those for WrestleMania as well. So if you want to really establish things there and really lead those guys down a different direction, so they could really do something with themselves instead of just being stuck in the corner the entire time. Hopefully things take off. I'll see where it goes, but I'm going to just, I'm just going to just keep it at a minimum when it comes to my overall expectations for it, because we've had the same song and dance for so long, so it's really, really hard for me to get invested in it.
Agree. I'm gonna be on the same page with you. Let's let it simmer. Let's see where it goes in the entree. If it's gonna be good, bad, or like like David Meltzer would say, a 1-star type of rating.
Yep. So overall, guys, that was Raw. I thought Raw was pretty good tonight. It did what it needed to do when it came to a couple of things that I liked, and I'm going to just structure it about the standouts for me when it comes to my final thoughts. So I thought the New Dangerous Alliance, they did their job tonight. They continued when it came to establishing their goal with what they're trying to achieve in the company. So I liked how everything was played out with this, and Sami's involvement was the icing on the top of the cake, the little cherry and everything. I really liked what we're getting with the women's division when it comes to Rhea Ripley, Roxanne, Julia, and Io. Really excited for that. The whole thing of Becky and Lyra getting a compelling story with the IC title. Really nice. Excited to see how Bayley takes place in that, or just how everything's going to establish even further. Always nice to see Stephanie Vaquer. Really liked Rusev just establishing who he is this time around after returning to the company. And yeah, that's my final thoughts on that. How about you?
Look, guys, my final thoughts. If you guys want to see the reactions from me and Watkins, go check that out on our social media. We do the best we can to post all our reaction from Sidecast. We're here, a 3-man team doing live. We have personal channels and everything. So we appreciate you guys checking out those Sidecasts, and also be on Twitch, be where it's live, and join us. But if you're not here for that, you also want to check out the coverage, check out the analytical, check out the personal opinions, and where we can all meet eye to eye. Or sometimes me and the guys, we do disagree. And the one thing that I'm excited for is, Bron Breakker, you look good in that suit. Now let's see how you're looking good in that title, because we know a lot of people said we might get Bron Breakker for the main event of WrestleMania next year, or we might get Seth versus Sami Zayn for the world title, since he might get the Royal Rumble. I love it that we said this theory since earlier this year when Saudi's show got announced, and now that we're finally seeing it happen, we said it. We said lock it in. Our votes. Sami Zayn will be getting the title. I mean, the Royal Rumble, we know it's going to happen. We will be here for it, and we will be here to say, we told you so. And we know damn 20 million other people think the same thing, so we know we're not the only ones on the same page. And when it comes to the Judgment Day, I'm glad the Judgment, the story continues to go along as the best it could with the steps that's doing. But other than that, it's a good show. It was a good Monday Night Raw. I had a good time. A good coverage with Drop, just me and him. It's been a while since me and you do a show together and do a little breakdown. So it's been a couple months, I believe.
Yeah, it definitely has been quite. I honestly can't remember the last time we did it.
Yeah, same. I can't. But it's been a while. I've known you as long as I can remember to do content, so it's just nice to always just kick back and just have you and me a little quick discussion of analytical, give opinions, see where we see eye to eye. Since usually when you watch Raw, you watch with family, so like you don't really chime in with a lot of discussion. So like when we hear your thoughts, is usually the first time here on the show, so it's always a nice flourish aspect where like I could hear and I'll be like, so that's your viewpoint, and then we just go back and forth about it. It's always just entertaining for it, I would say, and for the audience to know a little bit of the behind the scenes.
Yeah, another thing I was gonna say before we start closing out the show is we could always go back to this next year around the Rumble if Sami wins, just to paste this little clip online.
Oh, for sure. We will put the little clip like, hey, we get the little reference, little title. Maybe have our own vignette. Maybe by next year we can have a little assistant editor for the Weebs of the Ring branch. It'd be like, hey, just have the little type of vignette on our own show, on our own Weebs of the Ring. So it'll be like, hey, here's where you goes, guys.
Yeah. So with that in mind, guys, it's time to close out the show. So I want to thank you guys for taking the time out of your night to listen to the Weebs of the Ring podcast. If you enjoyed what we had to say, why not do exactly what I'm about to say right now? You like what we do? Check us out on our social media when it comes to the Anime We Studio account, when it comes to the Weebs of the Ring account, where we pretty much interact with you guys as the story is going, giving our thoughts on certain matches or certain storylines, whatever the case may be, really. Also, be sure to check us out on our own personal accounts when it comes to mine, at Drop This Box. We have Vash at his personal account at Legendary Vash, and also at Watkins at Watkins MW. Just in case you're new here, this is the first video you stumbled across, you want to know who Watkins is, Should have checked down below in the description so you get to know who he is or what he's about. And also, besides this, check out our other stuff, even though it might be like a week or two or a month or two old. Check to see our thoughts on certain premium live events or other shows, leading up to this one if you want to get to know the whole lore behind the Weebs of the Ring. Be sure to check out everything here. And also be sure to use the hashtag Weebs of the Ring to interact with us about anything regarding our shows when it comes to before, during, or after. And feedback is always appreciated as we are nothing without you guys tuning in. Weebs of the Ring is presented by Anime We Studio. Thanks to our production team for all of their hard work. Thank you once again for joining us. And remember, no stunt grannies were harmed in the recording of this podcast. Have a good night, everybody, and we will see you next time when it comes to our coverage this week of Grappling with the Week. I'll see you guys. Have a good night. Be sure to get a lot of sleep, and we'll see you Thursday.
Episode 139. Whoa.